this is Wolf from Barefoot Bushcraft. So it's really important before we begin to understand the history of the Roycroft Pack, who invented it, and where it originally came from. So there was a gentleman, his name was Tom Roycroft, hence the name Roycroft Pack. And when he was in areas like Vietnam and Thailand and places like that, he noticed that the farmers there used to carry huge, heavy loads on their packs. Oddly enough, a lot of this time, it would have been a pig. And they didn't have modern day packs like we have today, so they would have to fashion something. So Tom Roycroft, and of course Morris Kochanski or Kochanski, depending on your dialect, they got together to create this pack frame system, and they studied packs all the way back to the Roman era. So there's key elements of the Roycroft pack that have been around for over 2,000 years. So we're going to get into that today a little bit as we go and do our assembly. So the first thing is to understand your body dynamics and how your body works. So on your back, you have two scapula bones, right? So when I make this motion like this, all right, those big scapula bones, they kind of swing together a little bit like this. We use those principles as well in archery. And down here, of course, your back, you've got your back. So if I were to take my body and my arms, oddly enough, they're the right shape and size to make a pack that will fit like this between my two scapula bones and my back and actually be comfortable, made out of sticks, and allow me to carry heavy loads. So the first piece is that goes from the top of my back down on an angle to right here to my hips. All right, that right there, that distance is from the tip of my fingers to under my armpit. So when I put it out like this, I need two sticks there. That will make an A, like that. And then oddly, the last part, if I measure with my wrist to my arm, my waist, well, maybe my waist a little bigger, but for the most part, my if I was skinnier, my normal size would be from my wrist to under my arm. So that tells me, using only the guidance of my own body, the right size for the three sticks that we need to create this pack. So the first thing we need to do before we can create a pack is head out into this woods over here and grab ourselves a stick. Now the stick you're looking for should be no more than about thumb diameter, and that's going to create a really nice pack frame. Well, here we are. Didn't have to go too far into the woods. Got a nice long stick. It, for the most part, the smaller end is about the size of my thumb, if you have a look right there. So that's just what we need. We're going to take this back to our campsite. We're going to start building our Roycroft pack frame. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my saw. I'm going to cut this. Now, if I didn't have a saw, I suppose I could just break it over my knee if I really wanted to. I could use my knife as well and try to whittle my way through it, but I just happen to have a saw on me in my pack, so we're just going to saw through it, get rid of all the extra branches. Now I've got this. First step is to figure out how long it needs to be. And oddly enough, right there, there's a knot. We're pointing that knot to my elbow. There's one side. That couldn't be any better. So we're going to cut this. I'm going to remeasure it. Always check my measurements. Fingertips to under my elbow. That looks great. Now I'm going to grab another piece, which is going to be about the same length. So it should go to right about there. Now I have two pieces that are about the same length that go from fingertips to under my elbow. So these are going to be the cross pieces on the back. So the final piece is going to go against my back and the two uprights here. Now oddly enough, you see how that stick right there, it's got a bit of a curve in it? That actually, I'm going to use this to my natural advantage because this curve will fit the curve of my back and be just that much more comfy. And lengthwise, as I had said, it needs to be, about from there to there. So there we are. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to make it a little longer, and we'll talk about that when I get there. But that's kind of the length that you need, minimum length that you need this stick. So we'll go a little longer, cut that up, and get started on the project. So here's my basic tools that I'm going to use for my pack. Got the A-frame like that. Have the bottom piece like this. And that is kind of the start of my Roycroft pack. You can debark these if you so desire. I would say for me, it would depend on how long I had to prep this, how long I was going to use it. If I just needed this for like, I don't know, a couple days or whatever, or one trip, I wouldn't even bother debarking it. I would just kind of leave it the way it was. But I mean, that's entirely up to you. Past that, when we put our 2 pack pieces together, we do want to do some notching though. So I'm going to take this off, just because I don't want that to hit me in the back. And I'm going to put the 2 pack components together like this. Now, see how that's going to roll around? So what I'll do is I'm going to mark it with my knife. And right here, I'm going to do a little bit of carving. So I'm going to take this, I'm just going to carve in on this side, flip it around, carve in on this side, and now what will happen, the 2 sticks will fit together a little bit nicer. There'll be a little bit less chance for it to move. So can you see that? So always make sure you're pushing the knife away from you when you do this, please. So I'll start on one side and push in a V-notch, and then start on this side and flip it around. That way I'm not ever putting myself in a spot, especially out in the woods, where you're possibly going to cut yourself. Basic knife safety, no matter what you're doing or where you go, it's important. So there's the one. We're going to make another one now on the other side, and then what will happen is this and this, they'll fit together really nicely. 2 fancy notches cut. Now when I fold them over like that, I'm going to have a little bit more bite in this. So there's the top. Now I'm going to take my bottom piece and I'm going to put it like this, basically just like that. Again, as you can see, it's going to need a couple more notches here and here. So I'm going to go ahead here off camera, that way it's not wasting all the viewing time. I'm going to cut my notches, then we're going to get into the lashing. All done. So on my back piece, this is the part that's going to fit against my back. I have 2 notches there and there. On the front piece, I have made 4 notches. Those are going to be where the 2 top pieces attach together like this. And these 2 at the back, right, they are going to go on the back of this. So everything will all line up quite nicely. I'm going to do a quick test fit. Again, I've chosen not to debark this, but you certainly can debark it if you choose. And this will either go like this or like this, right? And it'll fit on quite nice. Next step we need to do is to connect all these pieces together to make something usable. So this is some lashing. Jute twine is my favorite for using out in the woods. Number one, it's inexpensive. You can get it at the dollar store. It's fairly strong, but if it's not strong, I could braid 3 pieces together and make it strong. The biggest reason I use it, especially with student classes, is because it's 100% biodegradable. So if I'm done with this pack and I literally just take this pack and I throw it into the woods and I leave some of this on it, well, it's not going to do a whole lot of environmental damage. Versus the nylon rope like this is your paracord, right, with all its, all the internal parts inside it, all the strands. That's going to last a long, long time if it gets left out in the woods. The same with this nylon rope here. But the jute twine is biodegradable. So we're going to start here at the top. Now we don't want the 2 pieces at the top to be very tight like this, and there's a really good reason for that. We want it to have some space. So you have almost on a saddle, it's like a horn kind of thing, and we'll get to that when we do our strapping, but you want them like that so you have a bit of space on the top. You are just going to take your rope. Now, if you're really good at lashing, and lashing is your thing, good for you. And there's all kinds of fancy knots you can use to tie this off with. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something quick. So we're going to put it there over the edge. We're going to just tie a knot in it. 1 knot. Boop. Secure it on with another knot. Okay? And then your lashing is going to keep it. You want to make sure you put it the correct width apart. And your lashing, I'm just going to go around once, twice, 3 times here. Okay, then I'm going to change direction this way. All right, pull all my material through again 3 times, once and twice. Take all your rope and push it through, and 3 times. If you're never sure, always remember 3 is a really big and sacred number in survival. It comes up an awful lot. So if you can't remember how many times to wrap it around, 3 times will do. Now, if you really want to get fancy with this, it's going to definitely stay like this, and I want to kind of snug it up a bit. I will take my rope behind it, and I'll do some cinching going between here and here, and it will just simply pull it in like this once. And again, if you got a lot of rope, it's going to be a bit of a pain, but that's okay. Once around, and again, I'm going under this, okay, and over this one, and then under. So my cinching is going to sit in the middle. And then when I pull, and you can see immediately what that does, pulls it all right into shape. And it's going to do a huge, huge help to keep this nice and secure for me. There's the second one, and pull, and you can see it cinching everything together. And then what I'm going to do, because I know I'm at the end, I'm going to take this and just cut it to make my life easier, like that. And again, it's jute twine, it's inexpensive, I don't mind cutting it. Now, you can go around more times than 3. You go around 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, 30 times, whatever. Make so many loops around here you can't even see the wood, but it's up to you. 3 times is the absolute minimum. A couple of overhand knots. There we go. That's done. So this is very little play in it now, which is great. It gets a little wiggle, and some jiggle, but it's good. Now we're going to do the side end here. So same thing, we're going to take this, right? Again, like we'd said, noticed before, this is a really nice natural curve in it. So I want that natural curve against my back, right? So like that. Okay, we're going to put this on. Again, standard lashing, 3 on each direction. And then we're going to do the same on this side. So we've got 3 and 3. So here it is, right start to finish, from forest to use, right? So I have my 2 pieces that I said were from the tips of my fingers to underneath my arm. That's this, and then I have this piece here. And miraculously, it's curved. And that's really cool because that curve is going to rest really nicely on my back. And again, some people wonder, should this piece be out here or this be under? That's up to you. You have to kind of experiment where it sits on your back, what you're going to kind of carry with it. And that's it. The other question often is, why is it a triangle? Why not a square? And that's because the triangle pushes against itself. And if you look at this, there's like no give in that. No matter what I do to it, no matter what corners I push, triangle just seems to, for whatever reason, be better than a square. If it was square and you were to have it like that, rather than putting a bunch more pieces on it, right? So it saves weight. It's one less stick to carry if it's triangle, and as well, it just is a much more efficient system being the triangle. So the next question would be, well, what if I don't have anything else and all I've got is just this stuff, right? And I don't have any way to make any straps for it, or I've made straps for it and the straps are miserable and uncomfortable to carry. Well, again, this goes back to ancient research for Romans that both Morse Kochanski and Tom Roycroft did of secondary stick. So if I take this big stick right here, right, and it's a nice stick, comfortable stick, I don't know, sticks are cool, I like this one. So let's say I have my pack, I want to take whatever is on the pack and it will be there. Check this out. I can put this here. Again, this is why it needs to be triangle and not square, like that. And then I can hang it on my back like this. So basically what that is, it's like a hobo stick, like a hobo carry, right? And I don't know whatever carry you want to call that, basically what that is, it's a hobo carry. You're going to just hang on to it like that. You can take it wherever you want it to go. Now you have another stick, right? If you ever need this for anything, and that's going to be on there, right? Just like that. Now that gets uncomfortable, you can drop your load, you can rest. You could also carve the stick if you needed to carve it. You could, I suppose, theoretically, if you could make 2 of these triangle-shaped things, then you could carry 2, right? I've also heard as well from Morse Kochanski that sometimes they will put another 2 sticks. So you'll put 1 stick here and 1 stick on this side to carry it if it's super, super heavy. So yeah, if you don't have a good material and you have a load lashed to this, and you don't have good materials or that's consistently digging into your side, you can just make the hobo carry. Boop, boop, and put whatever load it is. Now, the question, of course, is what loads? It could be anything. Again, could be pigs, I guess, if you wanted, because a live pig, farmers are carrying it to market historically, where these were designed from. That's not going to be easy to lash down, right? It's not going to be an easy carry. If you have made a couple of kills and you have a deer or whatever, you could certainly use it to carry that as well. So let's go on to the final step now, and now that this is completed, is we will take some modern day rope and we'll make a carry system for this that will be relatively comfortable. Right, so I got my rope here. I'm going to put myself in a spot and say that I don't really want to cut this rope because I don't know what I'm going to use it for. If I'm in a spot where I'm creating a Roycroft pack, and that probably means my main pack has failed or something has gone wrong with it, and it can't be salvaged, or I've lost it, or I have a heavy load. So I don't want to cut this rope, right? And that's kind of an important thing to think about, because if I cut it now, it can only be used for that purpose or something shorter. And there's a lot of rope here, so I just don't want to cut it. So first I'm going to take this rope, I'm going to find the ends, just like this, and match them up. Now I'm going to go along this way, and I'm going to find this end. So again, this is why we have those little extra peaks on your pack. So like this. You're going to drag it under, like this. And that's that. There's how that works. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate that one more time to you. So you're going to take your rope and fold it in half. That's called taking a bite out of the rope. You are going to take your Roycroft pack frame like this. You are going to put it through. You were going to put it over like this. And there we go. And that's it. Now you could go through again this side if you chose. I guess if you wanted it, let's say it was a little rickety, right? And I wanted a little extra support, I could put it on like that. That's going to cinch it just that much more, especially with the load on it. All right. So now the question is, how do I get these on me? Well, these packs are designed to be 100% utilitarian. They're not like our modern packs that are designed to be taken off and on. This is designed to be literally knitted and stitched onto your body. So you're going to put it on like this. You are going to put it on your back, just like this. All right. And now this is now it gets to be important. But remember before, I said you need to hold on to those, right? That part right there that sticks out of the edge. Now I'm going to take my pack frame. Okay, I'm going to separate my rope. I'm going to put it under my arms so it's nice and comfy. And now on the back side here, I'm going to hook onto this. See that right there? That hook. That's why that's important to have that extra hook on there. Now, I guess you could put it on the other side if you wanted, like that. Right now, if you do this, it's not going to fall off the edge. So I have it one side over like this. I can take it, and if you have the dexterity, you should be able to do this while you have all your pack and your load on. Okay. Pull it underneath. Pull it underneath. Just like this. And that's that. Now, what do I do with all this extra rope? Number one thing you can see, my pack is on my back. I can pull it, I can adjust it as much as I want to get that load nice and snug. You always want your pack snug to your body, all right? Now I'm just going to take these and whatever fancy knot or rope system you want, okay? Doesn't matter, whatever you're comfortable with, you're just going to put a knot in it. I'll just put a bow knot just to make it fancy. Okay, now I can take all my extra rope and throw it over my shoulder, over my pack, whatever. So now what's happened is I've made, right from the forest, I've made my pack frame. I have taken some rope and made some straps for it. I've even showed you how to put it on if you don't happen to have any kind of strap or rope. You can just throw it right over your shoulder. So basically that's it. Now, if I had a load of any kind, I would attach my load to this, and off I would go through the woods. Right? I could relax any time that I wanted to. I could stop if I find that it's cutting into my shoulders, right? Again, that's where you could use the standard over the shoulder. But that's that. You could also, I suppose, you could braid this rope if you had enough. If you braid it, right, it makes it longer and wider and it won't cut in as much. But that's that. Yeah. So I really enjoyed making this pack. It was a fun little bushcraft project. So just for you guys, while you observe and admire my pack, if you want to reach us on the Instagram, right there, look at all our fancy photos. If you want to hit us up on the Facebook, right there. And of course, right down there is going to be barefootbushcraft.com, where you would go to book any of our courses and all that sort of stuff. Even come out, make a course like this, and learn even more information about it. So I am Wolf from Barefoot Bushcraft, and as always, I want to thank you so much for tuning in.